I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader,
And I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
and we're the Insiders. And so let's talk a little bit about the governor's State of the State message. Scott, give me your take.
Well, I thought the governor's big theme seemed to be 2020 was a horrible year and it was someone else's fault. The governor spent a great deal of time trying to extricate himself from the unemployment compensation mess that he rightly should take part of the blame for. It took them many, many months to respond and change the leadership of the agency, and now 10 or 11 months before he has a new plan for actually upgrading and updating the unemployment compensation system. Wisconsin is one of the slowest states in the Midwest in getting out checks, and one of the slowest states in the Midwest in getting out vaccines. So he just seemed to kept trying to blame everyone else for anything that went bad in 2020. What I thought was interesting was the contrast was he took, as a smaller theme, he took the notion that he took credit for the budget that really was written by the Republicans. So the governor lauded the surplus the state has and how good the state's finances are, the rainy day fund, and all the money we put into the schools. Of course, that was a Republican budget that he very reluctantly signed, and it sounds like he intends to run for re-election on it now.
Well, that's interesting. First of all, let's look forward a little bit. The governor's State of the State, and these are things that the governor talks about. He said it's going to be the year of broadband. And that, I think, was a great thing. You know, in this new environment where people understand they oftentimes can work at home, it may give a competitive advantage to rural Wisconsin and places like it around the country because they're great places to live and to raise a family, but people need to make a living. This could be the opportunity for rural Wisconsin to move ahead. And Governor Evers is going to put substantial money, more than $100 million toward this. Let us contrast that with the Walker administration, which actually turned down $40-some million for rural broadband, federal money that would not have cost our taxpayers a dime. And Scott Walker turned it down. This is the right direction. It's the right thing, and it's at the right time. Looking backwards, okay, let's talk about a couple of these things. Governor Evers was dealing with a 50-year-old unemployment compensation computer system that Republicans had not updated. And perhaps more significantly, I've seen, because of some of the work I do in the law, the application that people have to go through. You almost have to be a lawyer to make that happen. I saw a person who actually did get their unemployment denied because of an answer to a question where they just simply made a mistake. It can be devastating for lives, and in particular, maybe one life for this and that. It's important. Let's get it right, and I hope they can move ahead on a bipartisan basis. And by the way, while we're doing that, people on unemployment, they need every check. They eliminated it for the COVID. Let's eliminate the 1 week waiting period. That's just to help out big business. Let's help out the little guy and eliminate the 1 week waiting period. Final. Okay, when it comes to the budget, it's always the governor's budget. You know that. Scott, you worked in the governor's office, and the governor did sign it because he saw there was enough there for education, et cetera. Some of us weren't too happy with that, but it is the governor's budget at the end. And by the way, let me remind you, Scott, of a conversation we had, which I've remembered to this day. I'll never forget Scott Jensen coming into my office after the budget was over. He said, you know, we're going to do really well. We're going to run on your education stuff, Chuck, this year. And that is because everybody who signs off on the budget gets credit for what happens in the budget. But number one is the governor. And when Scott said that, behind my eyes, my thoughts went down a little bit. But Scott was right. And that's why I went down, because we can all take credit when the budget is passed if we've had responsibility for it.
Well, let's hope they can all take credit for dealing with the broadband crisis in rural areas in Wisconsin. That is a big problem for businesses, for schools. It's something that needs to be tackled, and hopefully they can do that on a bipartisan basis.
Unity.